Red Ray Gun Limited presents
The Benji and Nick Show. Hello, welcome.
Hello
to the Benji and Nick Show.
Yeah, we're talking like this.
Well, we talk very close to things, don't we?
Well, the microphone mainly.
Mine's not going to sound that good this week because the microphone's slightly different, so it's not going to have the same warm, loving feel of a condenser, but instead a more rough and ready live approach.
That's Benji, rough and ready and live. Benji, do you want to describe the podcast?
Certainly do. Think of this like a hot bath where you can bathe in the wonders of the cult television phenomena. That's right, we talk about cult television from the 60s, 70s, 80s, occasionally maybe a bit of 90s here and there, but little telly rarities, maybe things that are widely popular, but we riff on it, we give it a watch and let you know whether it's worth watching, really, and just let you know it's our sort of opinions.
Yeah, it's just our kind of thing, and you can email us at podcast@nicholasbriggs.com. And this week we're going to be talking about The Nightmare Man, a 1980s sort of sci-fi horror thing that was done, adapted from a novel by David Wiltshire, was it? And adapted by Robert Holmes, a renowned Doctor Who writer, and directed by Douglas Camfield, who's sort of, held in very high esteem by we Doctor Who fans, and starring Celia Imrie and David Warwick. Is that his name? No.
James Warwick.
James Warwick, not David Warwick. He's also an actor, David Warwick. Anyway, so there you are. That's what we'll be talking about later. First up, though, I'd like to remind you to rate and review us, and maybe even subscribe.
Definitely. Do your R&R. That's what I always say. Not rest and relaxation, but rate and review. Get it in there. Do subscribe. It's always nice to have you guys on our side. A reminder as well that this podcast, you get some benefits as well. One of them being that if you type in destroy without any spaces into the Jerry Anderson store, you do get free shipping, which does actually make a big difference when you're buying stuff. You'll find that you can knock off a few of those sweet little pennies that always lurk at the end of a price. There's nothing worse than that, is there? When you say, oh, it's only 10 quid, go on there and it's like £14.99, and you're like, what? Hold on one little cotton picking moment here.
Yeah.
You find it's the postage.
The trouble is that everyone charges so much to ship things. That's the trouble.
Yeah. So it's a load of old shit.
What can you do? Yes. So we will be discussing The Nightmare Man very soon, but before we get there, we're going to have a look at some of your emails, and also there's going to be a new competition based on The Prisoner coming up. But anyway, Benji, what have you got for the first email?
So the first email in our wonderful collection of emails is one from a favourite of ours, Alex Pass. Subject line on this one: Pathfinders brackets not in space ! Loving the podcast, more stuff to buy and watch. Hurrah! That's right, the Benji and Nick Show there, bankrupting people for fun, really. I always confuse the 1970s World War II Pathfinder series with the earlier 1960s space serial Pathfinders in Space, and two of its sequels, Pathfinders to Mars and Pathfinders to Venus. I hope they didn't do Pathfinders to Mercury, because that would have been a horrible disaster and really quite hot. Lots of sun cream needed. But you can get Pathfinders to Mars and Pathfinders to Venus and Pathfinders in Space available in a box set from Network. So, go out there, give it a go. Alex had some very confusing conversations with people as a result. Meteorite storms? Really? As for the latest films of Ridley Scott, don't get me started on Prometheus, and Alien Can't Be Bothered, Covenant. Both big disappointments. Disclaimer, other opinions on these films are available. Do you know what? I don't watch a lot of films, so I don't really have an opinion actually on either of those. Although I did see Jurassic Park, the new one lately. That was quite good.
Jurassic World,
Fallen Kingdom. Yeah. Thought it was all right. Sort of, it was kind of what you expect, isn't it? Really.
Not what they want to put on their poster, though. Sort of thought it was all right.
Sort of, it was just what just a big sort of battle against capitalism, really, with dinosaurs massacring people. It's the way it goes, isn't it? Carrying on here with the email. Great to hear the 2005 live version of the Quatermass Experiment getting a mention. I'd also recommend checking out the 2006 version of A for Andromeda with some bloke called Tom Hardy playing the brainy scientist. No, really. I can just hear...
Have you seen that?
I've not seen it, but I can hear all the women swooning. I can certainly hear all the women I know swooning because everybody seems to love a bit of Tom Hardy. A lot of guys probably swoon as well.
Oh, definitely. It was very early in his career, and it's a very different Tom Hardy.
Really? I loved him in Bronson. I thought he was so good in that film. Really?
Oh, yeah, he hadn't reached those levels of madness yet. Yeah.
Madness.
We can't quote anything from Bronson because it's too obscene.
It really is.
A lot of swearing and shouting, basically.
The concept of the film is obscene within itself. Glad to hear that Skane is getting a mention. Are any more of these readings planned?
They are planned, but... because this is the series Skane by Jonathan Barnes, all of which there's 6 of them available on the nicholasbriggs.com website as ebooks, and the first one, the Library at Iffley Tower, I've turned into an audiobook which when you write in you get for free if you send us an email, and indeed Alex will have received it for free. You get a little coupon and you can just go to the site and free, download it.
Can't knock that, can you?
Yeah, my wife's worked that out rather nicely. She's got all the functionality sorted. But yes, I do want to do more readings. It's just a question of finding the time. That old organisation, Big Finish, takes up a lot of my time.
So we carry on with the email here. It says, I set down a comprehensive narrative of all that took place whilst I am still, if barely, in the right mind. Sounds like a Monday to me.
That's a quote. Yeah, that's a quote from Skane.
I see. Also. Big Al sent this one in. Big Al, sent from my tower of terror. A terror.
Here's one from Tasha Ross. Subject line, please, for the love of Time Lords. Hi, Benji and Nick. Please, could you at some point do a massive shout out to my other half, Andy Jago? Totally awesome, but obviously more into cult TV than me. Thanks very much. Long-suffering companion Tasha. Kiss, 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 kiss. Shout out Andy Jago. It'd be
Andy.
Great to have a name like Jago and Lightfoot. Henry Gordon Jago.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Hi there, Andy. Yeah, lovely Andy. Lovely Tasha. Well, am I just saying lovely? Lovely.
Come in for a cup of tea. Sit down. Lovely. Oh. It's like Lovely's up there.
When people say shout out, I feel I should just go ah or something, you know.
I loved your face there. You went full shouting face.
I don't know what the neighbours are thinking now.
Well, you know
There's
what?
A man in his shed shouting.
He does it every week. He just shouts at things. He's mad. So we've also got one here from Rick Davey from the Unmutual website. The Unmutual is all prisoner-related goodies. It's rather brilliant. Subject line, B&N Cult TV Questions. Greetings, Benji and Nick. Wonderful podcast as always, gents. Totally agree with Nick about Pathfinders. On almost every level, it's pretty dreadful. If you want to cover war-related... It is. Well, I think it's all right. If you want to cover war-related drama, perhaps I can recommend Colditz. God, yes, I love a bit of Colditz. Great. Well, not literally. I mean... utterly hideous place to be in more ways than one, but the series is brilliant, so we should definitely cover that. It is brilliant.
I haven't seen it since the original broadcast of it.
It's very good, actually. It is very good.
Should maybe get the DVD box set. It went on for a long time, didn't it?
Yeah, I never got to the end of it. I've watched an awful lot of it because I've got the box set, but I never got to the end because I just didn't have the time to keep watching it.
I remember the final episode. Yeah.
Really? Well, presumably the war ends and they all get out, and the Americans
liberate them. I think. Yeah.
So I know. Was that one of the ones that starred Kessler? Because I know that
might have been.
Kessler was in loads of different. Because I've got that on DVD. I've got Kessler, Secret Army, and Colditz, and I have a feeling Kessler was in Colditz as well, which is pretty fun. I think.
I know he was in Secret Army.
He was definitely in Secret Army. Was he in Colditz, though?
I know. I think that Bernard Hepton was in Colditz playing a different character.
I think you...
I think he was playing an Englishman Yeah.
Perhaps it's the maybe it's the
Bernard Hepton used to be in everything. It was kind of government policy at the time.
Oh, interesting enough.
Have you got Bernard Hepton in this? Well, it can't be broadcast.
No, not my problem, I'm afraid. It has Richard Heffer in it, and I remember I was at a Survivors recording with him, and at the time I was watching Colditz and had no idea Richard Heffer was going to be there. To which I was just like, wow! I was like, this is cool. It's old Captain. Is it Captain Downing? I think his name was in it.
Richard Heffer should have been James Bond, shouldn't he?
Richard Heffer should have been it. He's such a cool cat. Real dude.
He was also the star of, I have to say, a rather disappointing rabies drama that I bought the other day called The Mad Death, which was, so dated and unintentionally offensive almost at every turn. But he and Barbara Kellerman were the stars of this BBC rabies drama about the disease getting into the UK. But I thought, why have you taken this job? But then I realised that in the final episode he gets to run around a lot with a gun.
Oh yeah, well, I take the job.
He must have looked at the script and thought, yeah, I'm taking this job, no problem.
So yeah, does it involve me running with a gun? Yep, good, I'm in.
Also gets a sex scene with Barbara Kellerman, who was arguably the most gorgeous woman on television at the time.
Perhaps his agent was just read it and said, look, you don't need to read this, but I'll just list you the points of why you should probably do it. Bit of money, nice little sex scene in there, Barbara Kellerman, and and you get to run around with a gun, shooting a few people. How's that sound? Yeah, right. Is lunch included?
What's not to love there?
Yes, it's about rabies. Maybe I'll give that a miss.
You see, because Steve Hatcher, one of our ardent followers and a tremendously nice fellow, he wrote in and wrote to me personally just to recommend that, because I was talking about it and I said, what was it called? And Steve knows all about these things. But I'm sure there was another rabies drama, and I'm sure it was on ITV, and I don't think this was the one that I was referring to. So Steve, what do you reckon to that? I'm relying on you, mate, to come up with the goods here. I'm sure there was another one done earlier in the 70s. I'm absolutely certain.
So back to the email here. It says, anyway, have you considered for that questions about cult TV segment that you should be set questions by us, the humble listeners? 2 or 3 questions each week for each of you from the listeners, so you can keep a score. And at Christmas, whichever of you has earned the most points can have some sort of trophy, the golden beard or something. Oh, I like that. The golden beard of Rassilon. It'd be rather like the weekly competitions Ant and Dec do on their interminable shows that my wife insists on inflicting on my lounge. God, you poor bloke. With a prize or something at the end of each series. I was having this conversation the other day. National treasures, Ant and Dec, yes, but they get on my wick.
I think they're very, very good at what they do.
They are very good at what they do. But,
and people like that are always, always criticised. Like Chris Evans, the DJ and presenter, people are always down on him, but he's stupendously, amazingly good at what he does. Also, Johnny Vaughan, who I still think is on the radio, I don't know, but he used to be a big TV presenter, and people used to hate him. And but so good at what he did. Jonathan Ross as well. Yeah, I think the only one who escapes that, isn't he blooming irritating, is Graham Norton, who's also, bubbling over with personality and is very good at what he does, but doesn't seem to have attracted that kind of ire. Maybe he has. Maybe I just don't speak to the right stroke wrong people.
See, I liked Ant and Dec in Baker Grove. Baker Grove. They played PJ and Duncan. I love them in that. I love a bit of Baker Grove and Grange Hill and all that business. But yes, carrying on with the question, with the emails here, I suggest that for added entertainment, Nick must ask Benji's questions in the style of his Tom Baker, and Benji must answer in the style of a Robo-Man.
Yes, they went that away.
Where are the prisoners?
No.
Can you do the David Graham voice? I can't do it again.
Where are the prisoners?
Where are the prisoners? I still can't do it as well as you.
To be fair, I just was doing it for a laugh once, and it suddenly became a thing. Benji must ask Nick his questions in the style of Cat Weasel.
Mayhap. Then it is beginning.
Oh, I love it so much. Do you know what? I was watching a little bit of Cat Weasel last night, just cruising through YouTube. Yeah, I just love it so much.
Art thou Norman?
No, my name's Carrot.
Yes. Mayhap.
And I wouldn't be surprised if you're casting a spell on my rod. He's fishing, and he just says,
Nay.
and then he looks, and because he's cast a spell on his own rod.
Mayhap.
Nick must answer in the style of Charlie Says, the Charlie Says adverts. Yes, that'd be fun.
Charlie says the theory of relativity.
Shut up, you know-it-all, kid. You and your stupid cat. Sounds like Pingu. So very best there, Rick. Cheers, Rick. Lovely to hear from you.
And while we're on the subject of Rick and the Unmutual, he's offered us a rather lovely competition, but I'm going to phone him. Now, bear in mind, he won't be able to hear you.
It's all right. It's all right. It's just me in life in general, really. People don't often hear me. I just sort of blend in. Oh, it's ringing.
Hello.
Hello, Rick. It's Nick.
Hi, Nick. How you doing? All right?
Yeah. You are live on the Benji and Nick show. Sorry, I'm a little bit late, aren't I? I said I'd be calling before 12.
That's quite all right. Lovely to speak to you. Lovely to be on the podcast. Hi, Benji, if you can hear me.
I can hear you. Hello, but you can't hear me.
I won't be able to, but I apologise to your listeners.
He can hear you, but you can't hear him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, just tell him that he is my brother in magic.
Mayhap. Salme, Dalme, Adonai.
To your listeners.
Oh, yeah, that's all right. We don't mind
I
if
can't
you're...
promise to be anywhere near as entertaining because you haven't caught me in the middle of cooking an egg or travelling on the tube and all the various other things you catch me with.
Listen, I'm about to tell everyone about the competition you've kindly offered us, but give us a good plug for the Unmutual.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you. Yes, the Unmutual is the world's largest website dedicated to the prisoner and Patrick McGowan. It raises money for the local children's hospice here in Wales, where I live. It provides all the latest news, information, events, such as the one we're holding in November, a celebration of ITC, which I think Nick is thinking of coming along to.
Oh, yeah, I am. I've got to...
As well as other special guests. So if you want to know about the prisoner, you want to know about people that were in the prisoner, you want to know about Patrick McGowan or Port Merion, there's the website for you. It's theunmutual.co.uk. There's a little shop on there. People can buy things and raise money for charities. Everybody wins.
That's nice. It's like you've plugged this before.
I may well have done one or two times on your very podcast, as it was as well. But so what are you doing? Is it the Nightmare Man that you're doing this week?
Yeah. What are your views on the Nightmare Man?
Yeah, no, I like the Nightmare Man. I haven't seen it for some years. Have you posed a question for the competition, Nick, as yet?
No, I've got your suggestion down here, which is what...
Well,
I haven't said what the...
That's Nightmare Man related, actually.
Oh.
So I don't know if this would work as a question, but what is the connection between the Nightmare Man and Big Finish's audio adaptation of The Prisoner, being surprisingly prisoner related?
Right. And there is a definitive answer to that, is there?
There is a definitive answer. Well, someone comes up with more than one and says, well, the third extra on the left in episode 4 was a gardener in The Prisoner, then we can't really argue with that, but there's a definitive, obvious answer.
Brilliant. Well, listen, we haven't told them what the prizes are, but that is the question. The prizes are the Prisoner, the Essential Guide. It's a colour guidebook to the series, and also The Prisoner, The Essential Interviews, Volume 1, Patrick McGowan's last prisoner interview, recorded in 1990 and released in 2018 following restoration by Mark Ayres, who's an audio genius. So those are the two prizes you'll get if you get that. The closing date is Friday the 27th of I've put April, I don't know why, I meant July.
That would be a fantastic long-running competition, wouldn't it?
Well, it would have been a negative time one, yeah. 2018, Friday the 27th of July, 2018. How
All
bizarre.
those listening time travellers.
Well, thank you, Rick. I think you beautifully set up that competition. And what date? Tell us about that event again.
Oh, well, that's very kind of you. That's 2 plugs for one. I owe you many beers. November the 17th, a celebration of ITC. So we normally do just prisoner events, as people know, but we're going to widen the net to all the Jerry Anderson stuff, to things like the Persuaders, the Saint, Man from Hopkirk. It's November the 17th, again in aid of Hope House Children's Hospice at Elstree Studios in Bournemouth. If the tickets are £30 each, and they can be purchased either from the Unmutual website or from the Coits Media website, which is quoitmedia.co.uk. We've got special guests. I can't announce too many at the moment because we're still waiting for guests to confirm themselves, but 100% confirmed is the lovely Annette Andre, who, of course, very well known for Brandon Hopkirk and was also in The Prisoner and The Saint and The Baron.
Yeah.
She'll be launching her memoirs at the event and do a Q&A on stage, but there'll be lots and lots of guests from various ITC shows, so hopefully everyone can come along, and I think you're going to try and come along, Nick, so
I am.
That'll be a great cue for the event if you weren't able to make it, and then people can
Yeah,
come along and,
so I must make a note of the date and,
Yeah, Saturday the 17th of November in the evening. It's just an evening event.
Yeah. Let me just check my diary.
Well, this is exciting, isn't it?
Oh.
New segment called Admin with Nicholas Briggs.
Saturday the 17th of November. Yeah. I can do it.
Well, I think you should ink it in. I don't think pencils are required at this point.
Unmutual ITC. I'm putting it. Are you inviting Jamie Anderson as well?
Well, I have sent an email to a website which I thought was Jamie's, inviting him along, and I have not had a response. So either I sent it to the wrong website and they have no idea who I'm talking to, or Jamie hasn't read it yet, or whatever. But he is, of course, invited to be a very special guest. I think the key to getting Jamie is to phone him up at a really inopportune moment and just get him to say. I particularly like that there's always food involved, Nick. You always seem to catch him when he's cooking. I think it should be a regular feature, Cooking with Jamie on the Benji and Nick show.
Yeah.
You try and make it Anderson related. This is the voice of the onion rings or something. You could really catch on to something there. TV show beckons.
God, yeah, you should be the head of the BBC or something. Or something.
More Alan Partridge in there than reality, really. I'm going to suggest monkey tennis in a minute.
Give me a second series.
We should have Benji come along, shouldn't we?
Well, Benji is naturally invited to everything I do, but you both live so blooming far away. But you could do a live Benji and Nick show, ITC special, live from the event.
We couldn't
That could
we?
be quite fun,
Yeah.
couldn't
That would be awesome.
That would be really good
Let's pencil that idea
fun.
in.
17th.
I think that would be great. You're very welcome to get there early and do a kind of preamble in the green room, and then you can say hello to guests as they arrive,
Yeah.
and do Cat Weasel impressions at them as they look baffled.
Mayhap.
Brilliant. Well, Rick, I'll let you go now. Thank you for donating a bit of your Saturday to us. It'll be
Very
Sunday
welcome,
when people
anytime.
hear this, but yeah, thank you. Benji, he's good, isn't he, Benji?
Legend.
Well, we love Benji. Who doesn't love Benji?
Oh,
Yeah, well, I meant you, but yeah.
Oh, well, thank you very much. How kind. The love is reciprocated, and I'm looking forward to hearing the next episode of the Benji and Nick show. By the way, I'd love to know from your listeners, right at the start of the show, when you both say, the Benji and Nick show, I try and say that in time with you both saying it and never get it spot on. I'm always a bit late. I'd love to hear from your listeners if they sit there and literally go, the Benji and Nick show, at the right moment.
Yeah, we should get people to send in their recordings of them saying the Benji and Nick show. Yeah. Send us a sound file to a podcast at nicholasbriggs.com.
That'd be really fun.
Yeah, we'd like that.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for having me on.
Pleasure, Rick. Take care.
Speak to you soon, mate.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye. What a thoroughly nice man.
Oh, he is, isn't
What a lovely legend.
yeah, he's a
Legendary
lovely
chap. Really nice.
It's lucky we said that. It would be awful if after he's spoken to us we just slagged him off.
No, he's a
No, never liked him.
awesome guy, and also some great prizes up to offer there. great event. What fun that's going to be. So yeah, cheers Rick for being our phone call of the week. Yes, so now it is time to handle the subject at hand. That is, of course, the Nightmare Man. Oh wow, that was I rhymed there. Yeah, I like that. Poet.
Sort of.
I really didn't know it. Half rhyme, isn't it? So yeah,
Yes,
Nightmare Man.
Yeah.
Nick, would you
Now,
like to give us a brief summary of what it's about?
Well, the Nightmare Man is, essentially, I think one could describe it as a Doctor Who adventure without the Doctor in it. You know, it's a bit like the base under siege idea that Doctor Who fans refer to a lot, which is that they're in an isolated situation, isolated by fog, and something is on this remote Scots island and it's killing people, and there's some people here who are not what they appear to be. And you know, its Doctor Who credentials are further increased by the fact that the novel Child of the something Russian by David Wiltshire is adapted for television by Robert Holmes, a much loved Doctor Who writer, and is directed, as I said earlier, by Douglas Camfield. Also, Graham Harper is one of the production managers on the production, I think he is. So yes, and it has a very Doctor Who-y feel to it, in that some of it, well, I loved it at the time, and bought the DVD ages and ages ago, and hadn't watched it for a while. Benji, what is your what is your connection with it? When did you first see it? Was it watching it
from this? Yeah, I'm completely new to the Nightmare Man. I was aware of its existence, but obviously, I like to think this podcast is great because both of us can sometimes stumble upon things that we'd not seen before. Have to say, got a bit of a mixed feeling about this one, and I don't want to say that in a negative way because it clearly is really good. But I did find this is going purely on the first. I only watched the first episode, and I'm aware that it's obviously going to get a lot better because it looks awesome and it ends on a really good thing. But I did actually find it at times quite labor intensive to watch, I suppose. Really, I don't know. It feels quite sort of slow and dry at times. That's just me, and I think the performances are really great. But I found that this first episode it sort of didn't grip me perhaps as much as it should have.
I know what you mean, because I had great affection for it, but seeing it in the cold light of day, as it were, it wasn't light at all. In fact,
the Nightmare Man.
But I found that it had dated quite incredibly. I mean, I would say, given that Douglas Camfield is well known for his sort of energetic direction style, I thought the direction was astonishingly pedestrian. It was really like, I've got no room. It's all shot on location on video cameras, and so it just. And I know he's done his best, with the fog to sort of muzz up the image and try and make it look less like video, but it just looks like video, and it's very much shot on the basis of the only place to put the camera is here, so I'll have to put it here. Definitely. And the actors will have to be there, and I'll have to shoot it like this. It feels very, very functional. There's nothing clever or imaginative in the way it's done. It's straight down the line, a lot of two shots, and it being done in the old 4:3 ratio of television and not the wider screen. In order to have an effective two-shot with actors in, they have to stand unnaturally close together. No one in real life stands that close together unless they're in love or about to make a sexual advance. And you have people
or about to strangle somebody.
Or something horrible. So a lot of people standing far too close together. And it feels to me like not too much attention has been paid to the performances. All the actors are very good. Celia Imrie's fantastic in it. She's so young in it, so young.
A talented cartographer.
And the acting is a little bit theatrical.
It has
they seem too close to the camera to be acting at that intensity for me.
It sort of. I think that's the thing. It feels a bit dry at times. It feels that a lot of. I mean, the thing that I sent you a text, didn't I? And I said that we could make a great drinking game out of this.
Yes.
From just every time somebody says, "There's been a murder." Every time. And
What's that famous Scottish detective series?
I've no idea, but I question whether it came from this. I thought, crikey, they're just saying it all the time, aren't they?
What was it called? That's really annoying me.
I've no idea. I can't remember.
It was a name, and famously the actor died, but they carried on calling it that. There's been a murder.
Taggart.
Taggart.
I can't even say it.
There's been a murder.
There's been a murder. But they say it loads in this, and it's sort of.
I think I only clocked 2 in the first episode, but maybe there.
I don't know. I'd say a good 4. I think, but maybe not.
A great cast, and you notice people who Douglas Camfield likes working with turn up in it.
And there are some really
unnaturally
nice bits in it. Like, I liked the when they stumble across the body and that's sort of quite a oh blimey, that's quite
They've
sobering.
been ripped to pieces.
Yeah, a sort of sobering moment. The classic Doctor Who thing though of the shot of the first person fuzzy red perspective of whatever the creature or person or thing is. So fun.
Yeah.
So fun.
The fact that this was ever made to me seems like a real oddity. It was at a time when science fiction on the BBC was not popular. It was at a time, I seem to remember it was around about the time of Trial of a Time Lord. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's 81 this was.
So it's much earlier then. Isn't that weird? Maybe I watched it again. Maybe it was repeated round about that time.
Let's have a look.
But it sort of pops out of nowhere, and I remember when it was on, we think, wow, what's that about?
It was never repeated again. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, well, that's all right, mate. No, I've got a very cheating memory here, and it just seems because science fiction wasn't that popular with the BBC at that time. It feels like it's too embarrassed to be science fiction, and it's trying to be a crime thriller, and it's hinting at being something to do with science fiction. I mean, he openly talks about them. James Warwick's character actually at one point says, maybe it's a genetic mutation, and I'm doing my David Banks voice for him just because he was in Earthshock as well. And I want the listeners to experience firsthand you having the ending spoiled for you. So if you haven't heard or watched the ending of The Nightmare Man, just fast forward.
Should we do the spoiler klaxon?
Yeah.
Oh well, just saying you've probably got a klaxon sound effect, but if you don't, we'll add one in so you know. That was really good, actually.
It's not bad, is it? I've been practicing.
Okay, Nick. So lay it on me.
The spoiler klaxon is. It is the pilot of an experimental Russian submarine who was linked by cortex connection from his brain right into the computer-controlled workings of this little submarine, which they later find, which looks like a sort of large-scale model of a Thunderbird or something, but it's all grey or something. It looks very fiberglass and very lightweight. But the experiment went wrong, and he sort of came ashore on the village, on the island, and sort of ripped himself out of it. So the cortex, he's basically gone mad, this poor Russian sailor, and he's in this strange suit where he has a sort of mouth guard on him and all this kind, which is why the bite marks are strange.
Oh yeah.
And it's just some insane person basically, and the English colonel who's there, turns out that he has a load of soldiers turn up, and he tries to sort of pull it off that they're British soldiers, but they're Russian soldiers, and which is why he's so over the top English. James Warwick's character makes a reference to the fact, saying, "Oh, you could play drafts on that jacket because it's so checkered," and he's terribly ingratiating, and he says, "For a colonel, that seems a bit much to me," So he's pretending to be English.
That's a lot to sort of put through in 4 episodes, isn't it?
Yeah. How long are the episodes?
Half an hour. So
Really,
that's
they
2
feel
hours.
like an hour.
They feel
like
they
an hour.
do. They feel long.
Yeah.
29 minutes.
I'd love to know where it was filmed. Can you find out?
I'll have a look on my. There's not a lot of Cornish village of Port Isaac.
I thought as much. I really thought it reminded me of Doc Martin, which is where Doc Martin has filmed Port Isaac, and it's because I thought this is not Scotland. It just didn't.
It hasn't got that. Yeah, home of Doc Martin and home to the group of fishermen's friends, the sea shanty singers. There you go.
And location for the Nightmare.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't remembered series.
I don't think it's a bad series by any means, Jake. It's a fun oddity, but it just didn't grab me. I think what I'll probably do, I'm going to continue it because I want to get to the end of it. But what I'll probably do is it's the type of thing I'll see that maybe if I watched it at a different time or in a different frame of mind, it might be more welcoming. But it felt very long for me, laboured.
I mean, I'm about to say some, slightly, in inverted commas, blasphemous things. To me, it felt like a student attempt at making a horror movie. Very proficient students. They just didn't, they could have just made the acting more subtle. They could have made the shots more interesting. But it absolutely is of its time, that kind of video production, and you feel like the expertise and the technical facilities were just not available for them to make it work. I mean, if they'd only been able to shoot it on film, I'm sure Douglas Camfield would have said the same thing, And he does try his damnedest, he uses a lot of soft filters and low light and everything, really, really tries hard, and you can. It also reminds me of things that I made back in the day, back in the 90s and later, where we were trying to do great things, but ultimately it looks like a sort of cheaper version of Doctor Who.
It's technology is the problem. And I think as well with this, whilst we're on the subject of stuff like that, the music in particular, I don't think works at all, and I don't know who it is.
I just want to warn you that Paul Simpson of Sci-Fi Bulletin will be on your case because the music was composed by his mentor. He said, "Don't I hope you like the music, or don't be rude about the music, but do carry on."
I like the music in terms of what it is. I think it's really good and should be it's quite sort of Dudley Simpson-esque. In its sort of.
Now, be honest. You were saying it doesn't
work.
No.
So I know. I'm
going
to say I like it for that, and I think if it was in like a Tom Baker sort of Fourth Doctor era Doctor Who, it would work really well. But I think for this, I feel like it doesn't quite match what is the setting and the scenery. I feel that you could have set more of an atmosphere if it was kind of a bit. I'm trying to almost a bit more organic in a way, I suppose. Really,
yeah. It's all that,
whereas if you had a sort of something like a nice cello or something, like some dark.
And he's put a bit of he thought, it's sci-fi, so I'll get this synthesizer.
I go for that stuff, and anybody who knows me knows I love anything like that. Which is why I would say that I think the music's really cool, but I just don't think it's right for what.
I think it's a bit too tuneful. I think the other thing it suffers from is because it's trying not to be Doctor Who, it tries to be adult, and so getting the adult stuff into it it's like one bit where James Warwick is just putting his shirt on, where the inference is that he and Celia Imrie's character have just had sex on the floor in front of the fire, but it's all a bit sort of, they are all girl,
Oh gosh!
It's a bit ham-fisted, Yes, this is grown up, As he sort of mock molests her in their first scene together, doesn't he? Where he sort of tries to snog her when she's working, and it's all a bit like, oh God, it's like you've walked into a room and witnessed something that's slightly unpleasant, So yeah, the trying to be grown up also makes me groan a bit.
Yeah, it's just. Do you know what? I think to sum up the Nightmare Man, I would say that it's a great recipe, but ultimately the ingredients that are used to make the recipe were all that was available, and thus the end product perhaps isn't as brilliant as it could have been. Is my take on it.
I think that's fair. I mean, at this point, I just want to confess, and it's probably because we've been a bit rude about a well-loved thing, is that my AirPods have just run out of battery.
Yeah,
I'm
they're
trying to
obviously
get
fans. It's karma, isn't it? My microphone was breaking earlier.
I'm trying
and
to get the physical pair out, and look how tangled they are.
Always going to be, isn't it? It's always like that.
Hold on a sec. I can barely hear you. You're very faint in one ear. There must be a way for them to make these things less tangly, but I suppose they don't care now.
They're all obsolete.
Obsolete.
Hold on a sec. That's better. Hello.
Hello. Hear me?
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Oh. It's because it's still trying to transmit to these, even though they've got no battery there.
Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
Ah, that's better.
There we go. Back to Norman. Well, you know, it's. I always hate it when we do have to do these things where we sort of go against the common opinion, because I know that this is very popular, and I know that quite a few people were actually really excited for us to touch on this one. I'm sorry if we let you guys down a bit, but
well, not least the chap who sends in the super duper bits of artwork.
Well, his stuff is incredible. I love those, and they are a thrill every week. And yeah, I think I shared it on my Facebook. Actually, I put on there. I was like, these are just so good.
It's brilliant, isn't it? And I love the fact that he's included Nick's sad story, because I told that awful sad story about not getting cast.
It was a sad story.
It was pathetic, wasn't it? I can't have a sad story every week. What on earth could my sad story be?
You can't top it. That's the thing. You can't top that sad story.
I suppose my AirPods ran out of battery.
That's a sad story.
It's so sad.
Sad story.
Well, there we've done the deed. I feel bad.
Well,
I feel bad about it.
C'est la vie, old boy. C'est la vie. It's, you know.
But I have written down here 3 sort of quite difficult questions on cold TV for you.
Okay, then I haven't got any for you, so maybe I'll make them for you next week. Perhaps that can be my task at hand.
And also, we should go along with Rick's idea. Please do send in your questions to us at podcast@nicholasbriggs.com.
That would be fun. Okay, so do you want to ask me the questions then, and I'll see if I can.
Who played the voice of Steve Zodiac in Fireball XR5?
You see, I can answer this one, but not for the reason you expect. It's actually down to the fact that the actor's name, I think, was either Paul or Steve Maxwell. I reckon it's Paul, because Steve sounds like Steve Zodiac. I'm just thinking that. But the reason is because he is in A Bridge Too Far, and he plays a colonel in that. I think the colonel's name is Colonel Maxwell. And the reason I remember his name is because I recognised his voice and thought, oh, hold on a minute. This sounds like...
You're right, it is Paul Maxwell.
Is it? Yeah, oh, there we go. Not Steve, then.
He turns up in Aliens.
Does he really?
He's the adjudicator who basically tells Ripley that she's talking rubbish and they don't believe her report about aliens.
Well,
an alien. And he's, of course, in the extended version more, because that scene lasts longer. I think he's virtually not in the original.
Just cut down.
Theatrical release, yeah.
But he did loads of voices.
That's why I thought you might know that for that reason.
No, look, when it comes to World War II, Nick, it's always going to be that reason. I love all those sort of things. Yeah, interesting.
I wasn't certain of the answer when I wrote the question, by the way.
Well, you're not.
No.
It's purely one of those, for me, like I'm terrible with remembering details like that. For me, it's purely the fact that I like that. I really like that film, A Bridge Too Far. And I think I was always bemused by the fact that the Colonel's surname was the same as his actual surname. Dun, 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. it's worth it just to get to the bit.
Who did the music for Bridge Too Far?
Gosh, I don't know. It'd be somebody brilliant, won't it? Bridge Too Far. 1977.
It's a beautiful piece of music because it sums up the sort of glory but the utter failure of the
God yes.
Operation Market Garden.
Operation Market Garden. John Addison, who I've never heard of actually.
No, what else did John Addison do? The washing up.
He liked to go to play billiards on a Wednesday. He's done a job lot of films, I can tell you that. He did Sleuth.
Oh yeah, brilliant.
The problem is a lot of films I've never heard of.
Go on, tell me the names.
A French Mistress. The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner.
Oh, that's an incredible Tom Courtenay. Yeah, incredible movie.
Tom Jones.
With Albert Finney. Yeah.
He did some telly stuff as well, which is probably more relevant actually.
Very accomplished composer.
His telly stuff is Murder, She Wrote. He only did an episode of that actually.
There was a trombone in it.
My favourite one, 1978, The Bastard.
Yes. Which one's that?
I have no idea. It's a mini-series called The Bastard.
I could name a few candidates as stars, but won't.
He did the Phantom of the Opera in 1990. Lots of odd sort of the 1976 Swashbuckler.
Marvellous.
Wonderful chap.
Okay, question 2. What was the name of the film in which Jack Warner first played George Dixon of Dock Green?
I'm not going to know it. I'm really not. I'm not well versed on my Dixon of Dock Green, unfortunately.
I don't know why it came into my head. I literally just these questions. Anyway, well, the film was called The Blue Lamp.
Oh, that sounds quite fun though. The Blue Lamp, very nice too. Very police.
The Blue Lamp is a 1950 British police drama directed by Basil Dearden and starring Jack Warner as veteran PC Dixon, Jimmy Hanley as newcomer PC Mitchell, and Dirk Bogarde as a hardened criminal Tom Riley. The title refers to the blue lamps that traditionally hung outside British police stations and often still do. The film became the inspiration for the 1955 to 1976 TV series Dixon of Dock Green, where Jack Warner continued to play PC Dixon until he was 80 years old, even though Dixon's murder is the central plot in the original film. That's the funny thing.
How strange.
Dirk Bogarde shoots him.
Because he was a household name, really.
Oh, goodness,
Dixon, Dock Green. All that.
But,
George
there's
Dixon.
this very confident performance from Jack Warner where he, Dirk Bogarde pulls the gun on him and he goes, "Now come on, Sonny. You're not going to use that." Bang! Shoots him straight in the stomach. Dead.
Harsh realities of crime.
And then they thought, let's make a TV series about that character who died. Very odd. Anyway. And of course, he doesn't die in the TV series. He just carries on being a policeman until he's 80, which is frankly ridiculous since they retire them in their 50s. Anyway, how many crew members does the Starship Enterprise have in the original TV series with Captain Kirk?
So are we talking on the bridge, like at one time?
No, the crew of the ship.
The crew.
It's if you know anything about Star Trek, and have read anything about Star Trek, it's that they say it immediately. You don't know, do you?
I don't know. Let me consult my massive book about Star Trek that I happen to have here.
Well, my answer is that it's 430.
430, eh?
It may be that he rounds it up or down to that when he talks to people, but 430. It may be sort of 423 or 28 or something.
Yeah, it could be, it's just, that's half of a person or something.
The reason I put this in is because when I was away camping on Brownsea Island recently, sitting around the campfire, the chief idiot who was leading the songs adapted the Grand Old Duke of York to the Captain Kirk of the Enterprise, and he said he had 5,000 men, he beamed them right down to the planet and he beamed them back again. And I put my hand up and he said, "Yeah, what's your problem?" I said, "Can I just tell you that the crew of the Starship Enterprise, it does not number 5,000, it's 430. He said, "Well, you try fitting that to the song."
Oh, I like that.
I humiliated myself in front of the entire campsite, and my wife just gave me a strange look, and I blushed horribly. I felt compelled to say, I thought, I'm not sitting here and have someone say there are 5,000 people on Captain Kirk's Starship Enterprise. No matter what the context, I am going to point out there are only 430.
So it says here on the internet, actually, that there are numerous references to 400 or over 400, but the specific references to a crew amount of 430 are in Shore Leave, Tomorrow is Yesterday, Who Mourns for Adoniel, was it Adonis, there we go, nice one, and The Children Shall Lead, The Mark of Gideon, The Lights of Zetar, The Ultimate Computer, The Counterclock Incident. There we go. So those are the specific lists. I was watching one the other day, actually, that great one where they're in go to the planet where the two different civilizations are fighting each other with battle computers and statistically taking calculations.
Yeah.
Bloody brilliant.
It's great, isn't it?
I was so into it. I was like, this is awesome.
Is that called Let That Be Your Last Battlefield? No, what's it called? That was one of the first ones I read in the Star Trek, novel, Star Trek short story adaptations by James Blish. That was I think the first Star Trek story I ever read.
It was utterly, I just thought that was such a...
It's great, isn't it? It's a really good story.
Such a
Star Trek is fantastic. I love the original series. I've just recently watched The Tholian Web and City on the Edge of Forever.
Oh, City on the Edge of Forever is amazing.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I never thought I'd be into Star Trek, massively.
It's just amazing work.
But
it's brilliant science fiction. It's great popcorn entertainment as well.
Oh, I love it. I think it's so consuming. Like I've said to you, I'm working my way through the Next Generation for the first time at the moment. Loving it as well. I think it's absolutely fantastic. A Taste of Armageddon. There we go.
A Taste of Armageddon. Yeah. That brilliant titles of the Star Trek episodes as well. All of them brilliant titles.
Such a good
Balance
show.
of Terror is one of my favourite episodes.
Balance of Terror.
It's the Enterprise in a battle with a Romulan ship. Yes,
amazing.
It's like a submarine drama. That's how they designed it.
That is brilliant, that one. That really is. But again, there's the surprising how many, quite a good run of, a great run they have as well in terms of episode to episode. It's consistently brilliant.
It's amazing, and it really stands out against all other American science fiction programs of the time. It was just so, they took it seriously. I mean, a lot of people... I remember my brother always mocked and laughed at Star Trek, and also my friend who lived next door, because it is overly dramatic, everything's slightly overdone, but overdone with such believable intensity. I mean, those central performances from William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy and DeForest Kelley, I was lucky enough to interview once.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and that was fantastic.
It's the little details as well. Is the fact that there's like the 430 crew members. There's such a huge lore to the Star Trek world.
Oh, goodness, yes.
The details.
I mean, proper Star Trek fans listening to us now will be slightly appalled because we're bound to be getting some of the detail wrong.
But it doesn't. That's the way it goes. I'd love to know it all. But unfortunately, I can't. But
there's not enough time.
It's like the little procedures, when they've got the courtroom, like that. Is it the two-parter? Isn't it the one when Kirk?
The menagerie.
Yeah. Where
Spock's on trial, isn't it? Because
that's right.
That's when they basically use the footage from the pilot episode, The Cage.
The Cage, yeah.
With the original crew, and now in that Enterprise, how many people were aboard that early Enterprise?
Oh, I don't know. I bet it'd be.
They say the crew's, I think, 230. 238 or something like that. Yeah.
Whereas then you get to the Next Generation, and it's just vast. It's like
is it like 3,000 for the Next
Generation?
Generation? Why am I obsessed with the number of people on the Enterprise? I've gone slightly bonkers, haven't I?
He's there, yeah. It was they've only got 280 compared to the Enterprise's vast 430. I think you'll find the superior crew.
So you got one question right. Well done.
Well, that's something. I mean,
I don't think it was the question I expected. I thought you'd get the Enterprise crew one right, because as you say, that number 430 has been quoted in many episodes.
It's just, I don't throw away things like that. I'll either remember it and recite it religiously to everybody I meet, or it will go in one ear and come out the other.
430, pardon? 430. What about it? 430.
It's oh God, so good. I'm gonna have to watch some Star Trek. There we go.
What's next week's discussion topic?
I've got a fun one for you, Nick.
Oh, right.
Have you ever heard of the One Game?
No.
The One Game is really
Wow.
It's really cool. I discovered it last year. It was re-released by Network.
Of course.
And of course, everything is. It's a really fun series, all about. It's a really weird one about kind of. It's basically about a video games in the 80s, video game creator.
Don't give away the ending.
Not going to give away the ending, but basically there's like a sort of dispute between the two creators, and ultimately one of them says, right, we're now going to play the ultimate game, and this game isn't a video game. This is real life. You are in the game, and everybody you're encountering on your day-to-day basis could be playing this game against you.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, well, it's like it's weird, but brilliant.
Let's do it. What channel was it on, and when was it put on the telly?
Let's have a look.
Just to give me an idea of what I'm getting into.
The One Game. It's 1988 BBC British television drama for Central Independent Television.
Okay.
And it's got that geezer from Game of Thrones in it, Stephen Delane.
Oh, right.
And Delaney, sorry, Stephen.
I don't know whether it's Delane or Delaney. I'm not sure.
And it's Patrick Malahide.
Wow!
Who gives a great
fantastic.
performance in this one? But yeah, it's quite a fun series. This one.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
So there we have it then. So this week we have bounced our way through the Nightmare Man, and next week we play the One Game.
Don't forget to email us at podcasts@nicholasbriggs.com. There's a free audiobook of Skane, the Library at Iffley Tower, in it for you if you haven't already got one. I'll think of something else to give away soon, but we'll continue with that offer. And don't forget to rate and review and subscribe to us. You can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and at nicholasbriggs.com or redragon.co.uk. Where else? Have you seen us anywhere else?
I haven't. I mean, let me have a little look. We should definitely look to get out on.
Yeah, my wife is looking to push us on other platforms.
Get on the Spotify and all that business. No, I can't see us on any other things actually. Strangely enough, SoundCloud. It's on a few little ones like strange things like Blueberry. And things like that, and
Blueberry is the way we distribute it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, okay, we'll do better. But anyway,
there's the Nick and Zoe podcast, featuring Benji Madden, whoever that is.
Good Lord! Yeah, hello, Zoe. She's here.
Welcome
to my shed.
But yeah, so there we have it. Very exciting. And a great podcast. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself.
We should do our soft voice ending.
Yes.
To speak like this.
Well, it has been a pleasure, Nick. It's never a chore. We have voyaged the interspatial highways of cult television, and now we must return to real life.
Wow. Okay. Well, it's ta-ta.
Ta-ta.
Pressing stop now. Ka-chunk.